What's the most dangerous thing you learned from your family? In my family, every misfortune, whether it's a broken bone or a divorce or a lost job, gets written down in this thick handwritten book called The Ledger. It went back 9 generations, and every page had the date and the curse that was the reason behind the misfortune, like slipped down the stairs because she lost her betrothed to wandering eyes, or child born blind, punishment for Beatrice lying in confession. If you got hurt, it wasn't an accident. It was because someone in the bloodline had disrespected God, or pride, or their mother-in-law. My grandmother swore that the ledger spoke the truth before doctors could even guess. Nobody ever questioned it, so neither did I. But then my favorite cousin Joyce started having seizures when we were 16 years old. Her mother said she would handle it. My parents were big believers in the ledger too, but not quite as committed as Josie's branch of the family. Unlike Josie, I got to go to school, so I asked my teacher, who told me that epilepsy was a treatable disease, even though my parents told me that my teachers were brainwashed by the government to pump out science and other lies. My aunt never even considered treatment. Instead, she revoked all of Josie's food except for jugs of holy water and covered all the windows to keep the light out and scare the demon out of her. She said epilepsy was a judgment curse for Josie talking back at her once. One weekend, Josie and I were walking home from our youth group when she collapsed and started foaming at the mouth. She hit her head on the ground so hard that I thought she might never wake up. That's when I decided I didn't care what the ledger said. I flagged down a passing car and called an ambulance. I rode with her to the hospital, forged my aunt's name on the intake forms, and waited for hours while they ran every test. I learned the names of her medications, took notes on her triggers, and got a doctor to agree to list me as emergency contact after I lied that I was 18. I nervously asked a doctor if he thought this might be a curse, and he looked at me like I was crazy. After that, I spent every night at home reading through the ledger after I'd made sure Josie had gotten her meds. That's when I realized that all that proof I'd always been told was in the ledger didn't exist. No one ever wrote that the crazy things they did to break the curses, the fires, and the herbs, and the animal sacrifices ever actually helped. But I did find several instances where the person was cursed died because they'd been starved or beaten to try to excise the devil. Everything I'd been taught wasn't just a lie. It was straight up evil. When I confronted my grandmother with what I'd found, she spat at my feet and said, "If you really cared about Josie, you'd have let the seizures kill the demon. Instead, you nourished it. It's coming for you too now. It's burrowed into your bones." The next week, I heard through a cousin that she'd burned a black candle and held a ritual funeral for me behind the shed. I knew that if I didn't get out of there soon, they wouldn't stop until that funeral was a real one. So I reached out to a teacher at school for help, and she immediately got me a spot at a shelter and helped me start the process of getting emancipated. Once I had my own place, I moved Josie in with me. I got her a weighted blanket, flashcards for calming routines, and a spot in a dance class for coordination. Her seizures got further apart and eventually stopped altogether. We used to swear we'd never go back to our old home, but last week we changed our mind. We snuck in while our family was at church, stole the ledger, and burned it. I saved the last page where it said the two of us were dead to the family because we rebelled. It's taped to the wall in our little apartment. At the bottom of it, Josie wrote, "Correction, we survived."